Hey there, welcome to episode 2025 110801 of the Coffee Solo audio program. Did you get that? November 8, 2025. First episode of the day at 1:56 p.m. Pacific time here in the greater Vegas area. Coffee Solo, initially available exclusively on ko-fi.com, ko-fi.com, but now available elsewhere as well. This is my no agenda, no schedule, no particular purpose, sort of vanity audio program about whatever comes to mind on this Saturday afternoon. I got to be honest, I was going to record this last night, so Friday evening, later, probably around 9 or 10 p.m. Literally dozed off. That's how exciting it was. I've only jotted down a couple of notes in an outline. I've not filled in the actual words. I've been trying to move towards sort of a spontaneous opining. So we'll see. We'll see. Sometimes I write out a show, sometimes I don't. So we'll see how this goes. But I did pick the title. The title inspired by events of yesterday and the day before. So Thursday and Friday evenings. The title is Evil eBikes, battery-powered electric bikes. Evil eBikes. The summary of today's episode, which I also wrote out beforehand. Sometimes I write it out after. Unfortunately, it is legal within the city of Las Vegas for idiots to ride e-bikes and e-scooters on sidewalks, especially the sidewalks on which I am walking, especially at night. The links for today's episode are, as usual, again, if you're listening to this on ko-fi.com, this link will not be there, obviously, but the ko-fi.com, ko-fi.com/Dan Hugo /posts is where you will find the episodes first published, and then they are published to Spotify. What is it? Spotify for creators? Creators on Spotify? One of those. And so then it has a Apple podcast, an Amazon podcast, a Spotify, a proper RSS feed. It's on YouTube, on the Dan Hugo YouTube channel, and it does appear on the danhugo.com website eventually. So that's about that. Those links are available in the episode description. Hopefully you're able to locate that wherever you found this audio program. And now on with the show. So yeah, sidewalks are no longer safe for anyone. I just found, I believe it was passed in August, and it went into effect on October 1st. The City of Las Vegas City Council did, created an ordinance that it is not lawful to operate an e-bike or a scooter. And in fact, I don't even know if you're allowed to use normal bicycles and scooters, maybe I can't remember now, on Fremont Street. Basically, if you've ever been to downtown Las Vegas, you know Fremont Street has the canopy with the LEDs, and they are supposed to turn off the lights every 20 minutes or so and put on a little show. It's also where there's usually a sort of a crowd milling around, walking to and fro, whatever's going on. Depends on what's actually happening on Fremont. So it would make sense to not have be like riding your bike through a mall or at a concert, which they do have concerts on Fremont. So that makes sense. You cannot have people riding bikes and scooters dangerously. You can do it off Fremont, which also makes sense. Yeah, okay. So don't ride where people are. However, that doesn't mean you cannot ride your bicycle, your e-bike, operate your scooter, your e-scooter on sidewalks just in general. So what happened 2 days ago, Thursday night, I walked outside from my home, walked out onto the sidewalk, not expecting to encounter motor vehicles. And I was going out for my usual. So I had my watch. I was having it catch a GPS signal so I can keep track of my physical activity. That's how exciting life is. So I was kind of moving my wrist around, catching the signal. That's a nerdy thing. But so GPS eventually got the lock. But before it locked on, I was kind of moving around trying to, because it is what it is. I think there's a building in the way, right? So I stepped a little bit to the side. I had my headphones in. I was listening to an audiobook. I was listening to Foundation, Asimov. And suddenly I didn't hear it coming. A person on an e-scooter of some sort whizzed by, actually brushed up against me, turned back to look at me like I was getting in his way. It's like, oh, not even surprised anymore. Last night there were 2 scooters. Again, didn't hear them coming up behind me because I'm on the sidewalk and I'm listening to audiobooks. So why would I need to pay attention to what is essential? I guess it's just the right amount of horsepower. It's got to be 1 horsepower or less, and it can operate on the sidewalks, or a bicycle, or just a normal kick scooter or whatever. But basically, because people don't have to follow any rules, therefore, I don't have to have a helmet or a light or anything. Although I think technically they are supposed to now. I think that was part of the ordinance that they passed. But then they ride on the sidewalks with reckless abandon as if I'm in the way. And I will sometimes get someone saying, "Excuse me, you're supposed to have a bell or a horn or something. You're supposed to alert people when you're coming up behind them. You're not supposed to brush up against them." But I just can't imagine. I mean, it's got to be problematic. There's going to be people injured, possibly me, or possibly someone who. If I turn or move or step out of the way of something that I might step on the sidewalk or something, the person behind me that's coming up behind me on an electric vehicle, I should say, not electronic. Someone coming up behind anyone, but me in particular, on an e-bike or something. They're just cruising along like, oh, there's a pedestrian that's going to get in my way. Now, if I have to step out of the way of whatever I don't want to step on or in on the sidewalk, the person that's coming up behind me can't see what I'm seeing. So they're not paying attention. And I am not thinking, I'm operating in a lane on the sidewalk and I have to be careful that a motor vehicle doesn't smack into me. So I might just step out of the way of whatever I'm about to encounter. And the person coming up behind me will be coming up behind me faster than they should be, almost certainly. That's usually the case. And we'll see what happens. So I'm fully, now I will say that this hasn't happened in a long time, but it was a couple of years ago. God, it had to be about 4.5 years ago, probably. It was either at the tail end or just after I don't know if you can hear that, production by the street. It's the tail end of the pandemic. There was a person. Now I lived in a different place at the time, so I was walking in the evening. I didn't hear anything coming up behind me. Once again, probably earbuds. Don't remember what I was listening to. So I took a right turn, sidewalk. I was on the right side of the road, so walking with traffic if there were any. Right turn to walk off the sidewalk into a side street. And someone was apparently riding a go-kart or something on the sidewalk and zipped by me, and I have no idea if they saw me. And that would have been catastrophically bad had I not made that turn. So I don't know what the world is coming to. The other day I was crossing the street in a crosswalk legally, and a person on a particularly snappy scooter, I don't know if it was gasoline powered maybe, but still like a kick scooter with a motor on it of some sort. He was cruising. He was moving quite fast, and he was in the roadway, so possibly more than 1 horsepower. He decided, I don't need to stop for no pedestrians in the sidewalk. I'm in the crosswalk. So he zipped by me. He passed behind me, but once again, if I had, for any reason, and my knee is getting much better, thanks for asking, and my ankle is almost back to normal. I mean, it's well over 80%, probably 90% something back to normal. But, anything if I would have dropped something, if I would have had the need to pause in any way, he would have collided with me. So yeah, once again, these are idiots. Very frustrating. And I don't know what the city of Las Vegas is thinking. You are explicitly allowed to operate in the bike lane. So you should do that. You should operate in the bike lane. And what I will often say people, if they're riding their bicycles on the sidewalk, I'll say, would you like me to get in the bike lane so I can get out of your way? Oh, no, sorry. So, all right, that's just super annoying. Nothing's going to change today. So too bad. The big election on Tuesday. Yay. first of all, people have not stopped talking about it. The YouTubes, or as someone I know used to say, the YouTube creators out there, the YouTubers, probably, I don't even do TikTok, but probably the TikTokers, all these people, either very excited, it's over, the left is coming back, or it's over, they elected a communist. That's the beginning of the end. I don't know what's going to happen there, but I find it interesting that this isn't even the midterms. And it's not special elections. It's a regular election and all that. But wait, what is it? Special elections? The mayoral election was that a normal? I actually don't even know. Doesn't matter. Elections, right? Normal elections. They weren't held like in April or something. They were held in November on the first Tuesday after the first Sunday, all that stuff. So a couple of governors, the mayor, a couple of other people elected around the country, Prop 50 in California. So everybody is saying, oh, this is a rebuke. That's it. It's over. And apparently the inside scoop in the White House is that they're freaking out a little bit and everything. But I have to say, this is not, I think they're making a big thing out of it to make sure that it is considered a big thing. I have said this before. First of all, I'm not against talking about politics or other such shenanigans on this audio program. That's one of the reasons I'm doing it, separate from my other stuff. But as well, I'm actually not, socially lean left. Fiscally, I would say kind of centrist right. I'm not against streamlining government and having a little bit less, but I think government regulation could be a little bit heavy-handed. But I'm not against, FDA. Let's make sure our food is safe and doesn't kill people. USDA, let's make sure that people that live here are not dying of hunger. So I'm generally not happy at all about what the current MAGA administration and the complete abandonment of any sort of semblance of constitutional order. I don't like how that's going on. So all that said, I don't think any politicians are great. The great ones are exceptions, unfortunately. Most of the time, they're just normal people who probably get corrupted by the lobbyists and so on. And we don't even have to speak about Orange Man. He was already there. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the tariff thing turns out in the Supreme Court. It'll be interesting to see why the Supreme Court decided to stay the court order to have the executive branch spend the $4 billion that's available for SNAP payment, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, EDT, food stamps. To me, that's beyond belief that there's any of these shenanigans going on. I just heard today that the USDA has said grocery stores are not, or wherever people are shopping, are not allowed to give discounts to those shopping with SNAP payments or on SNAP. I don't get it. My position in general, and this is not political, I think this is just sort of common sense. If you're going to have a society of some sort, people are the important part of that. So if you choose to allow or take actions that induce declining health or worse for the people that live in your society, you're not helping yourself. So I think this is absolutely, aside from being inhumane, but just structurally, it's doesn't make sense. So we'll see what happens. But I think there's just too much celebration for it's almost like saying, okay, I'm not a football person, but we got a first down. That's it. The game's over. And you're like, no. You just got a first down. Still a ways to go. And all manner of things could go south between now and then. I'm not a fan of deploying military, whether it's National Guard or active duty military. I think cities and states should be, I'm kind of a fan of states' rights more so lately, but I think they should be left to do their things. I think falsely claiming crime rates and so on is problematic. So yeah, all this is just ridiculous, and it's driving me to not want to know more. So we'll see what unfolds. But yeah, this week has been, it's been a good week to watch history videos or listen to audiobooks or do other things like dodge eBikes. Ebooks are good. eBikes, not so much. So I don't know if you've been hearing the press. There's been a lot of coverage, not so much in the last 2 weeks or so, but just in general, that Vegas is dead, that tourism is dead. I guess they've changed the focus away from that now because everybody kind of gets it and they're bored with that. So to the elections. But yeah, Vegas is, I guess tourism is down. It was down by 8% for September, I think, or was that October? I think it was September. Not a, I mean, these are not great. Everybody takes videos of empty casinos. Could be. There's a theory that Vegas wants to only service high-end customers. That, as Bloomberg reported, that Vegas is a luxury good now. So, okay, that's not a great idea. That's what market segments are for. But I find that difficult to believe that there's I don't think billionaires are going to be hanging out on Fremont. So that just is counterproductive. But I guess, the resorts world, the Wynn, maybe even the Bellagio, these places with brand name cachet are able to say, you know what, we're gonna raise our rates and send people away so that we only attract the good people. So we'll see. The Formula One race is coming up. I believe it's on the 20th. It's 4 days, I think. 3 days or 4 days, I can't remember, but it's later this month. So they're doing the construction again. They're screwing people over. They're making life unpleasant. They're creating barriers to visibility so that you can't watch the race from the pedestrian crosswalks, the cross over the strip, etc. All that stuff. Now, last year for sure, and I think the year before, the first year, so last year was the second year, I think they ended up having to drop prices right as the race was about to happen, like 2 days before or something, a couple days before, because they just weren't not getting the attendance that they were aiming for. They had a lot of empty rooms, and it's like when you have an opening night for a movie and the theater is empty, you got to have people in the seats. So you got to have people coming in to watch the race. So they started dropping prices. They started, loosening up some of the deals. Instead of, $800 for a room, it was, dropped back down to $250 or something. I just made that up. It's something like that. It was a pretty substantial discount started flying around. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens this year. Everybody from Clark County touts the Chamber of Commerce is very excited. The Fontainebleau is kind of the hub of business dealings, and so they have a little meetups there. Like, oh, what's Fontainebleau going to do to the local economy to draw tourists in that are, bigger spenders? They really want to go with the Monaco feel, from what I'm understanding. The Monaco GP, so racing and high end gambling, gaming, people on the town spending money, glitz and glamour, all that. So, Vegas wants to turn into that. And it's like, well, but you do have, I can't remember the name of what's the name of totally spacing on it. I just saw something. There are casinos on the strip that are not Bellagio. MGM. MGM is like a more normal place. The Harrah's. You got your, what is that place? I can't remember. I'm not going to remember it either. Anyway, so it's the only casino, the only hotel on the strip without a resort fee. So let's see, the only hotel on the strip without resort fees. No. Oh, the Rio, but that's not on the strip. Not the Best Western. No, this is ridiculous. I have no idea. I literally just saw it. And I've been there. And they have a Chipotle and a McDonald's. Oh, Casino Royale. That's it. Casino Royale with an E at the end. Royal E. So Royale. It's in the center of the strip. Casino Royale. It's next to... What is it next to? It's near Treasure Island. I mean, it's not near, but it's you're on your way to Treasure Island. Yeah, it looks fine. I would stay there. Why not? I've been in the Casino Royale, I think in the casino section. I've not been in the rooms. The room pictures look nice. It's a Best Western Plus. Okay, so it's just a normal hotel. Anyway, so that's the curious thing about the whole tourism thing in Vegas. It's been a big controversy, the soft summer and all that. But from my perspective, the interesting thing, which I just learned the other day, so Vegas for the last couple of years has been pushing, Southern Nevada is pushing for economic diversity, production by the street. to avoid the conundrum that occurs when the strip is empty, devoid of people entirely, thanks to a global pandemic and so on, or drastic reductions in tourism. Now that the numbers have been 11, 10, 11, 9, 8, 10% for the previous, so they report the month after. I don't know if October is out yet because it's only November 8th, but so for the previous month, tourism might be down by 8% from the same month the previous year. So it's not month over month. It's not like we've been going down 8%, 10%, 9%, 11% from the previous month. It is from the same month the previous year. So what they're basically saying is that 2025 has been generally down by roughly 10% from last year. And what they then say is that don't forget the Super Bowl was in February. So February is already artificially inflated as far as numbers and total revenue from gaming and spend and all that. So you can't count February, but March, April, May, and so on, a little bit more back to normal. Okay. November also probably thrown off because of Formula One races. So you'd have to take that into account if you're comparing it to October and December, whatever the case. So they're saying, oh, this is drastic. It's dire. I think it is having an impact on people. Okay, the thing that's having an impact is that when people do come here, they aren't spending as much just in general because the rates for rooms and whatnot have increased. So there's less fun spending. There's less people going out, fewer people going out. People are spending less when they go out to, have a snack. So I think some restaurant workers on the strip are having difficulties. Tipping is down, which I think is fine because people should be paid a proper wage and not depend on tipping. I think tipping is kind of broken, but I still do tip, but I think it's not a great idea. Anyway, so the thing though that I find most interesting is that for the past couple of years with that diversification effort, the powers that be would like Las Vegas to become the next Silicon Valley, Hollywood 2.0, a biotech research hub, and most importantly, a global innovation hub that rivals the Silicon Valley, the San Francisco Bay Area, I think is how they word it. So we have Mobile World Congress now. We've always had NAB for several years, the National Association of Broadcasters. The Mobile World Congress, MWC, is normally in Barcelona. So they've had it in Vegas for, I want to say, 4 years now. And it's not great. I spoke when I went to the first one, and I spoke to some people there that were from Barcelona. And I said, how does this compare to the Barcelona one? And they kind of looked at me like, should we be nice? It doesn't really compare well. And the one this year was only 3 days. I think it was normally 4 days. So it didn't really get so much coverage. I didn't really get any notifications about it. I think it was kind of like, yeah, we're going to be in Vegas again. Just don't tell anybody. And then everybody said, we never do. So I don't know how it compared, but I went to the first two and then I stopped going. I stopped being too concerned about it. So Mobile World Congress, meh. But the first one was when they were really pushing this Vegas Global Innovation Hub. So that's been this pitch, and I don't find them doing anything about it. I think they're just saying it. The Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance expects a whole bunch of companies to move into Vegas because of a business tax situation. We don't have an income tax here for people, and business taxes are advantageous by comparison. There are incentive programs to move certain types of businesses into the area, to relocate or establish a presence, etc. But I don't know if people are really biting. We haven't had like a major influx of people. One of the problems is that there would have to be a talent relocation. This is just due to the nature of the talent pool that's available in Las Vegas, the greater Vegas area today. So that doesn't bode well. If you are thinking, oh, I'm gonna be a valet at the Mandalay Bay, that's an actual story that people just say, oh, I'm just going to do that. I was having a meeting with the Dean of Engineering at UNLV many, many years ago. And he said, it's really hard to get students to stay in school when they can just be a valet at the Mandalay Bay for 6 figures. That doesn't continue. Well, that's having a 6-figure salary to live in Vegas. Suddenly you're not rolling like a G, you are barely getting by. And this is what happened in Silicon Valley when everybody started making more money and gentrified the entire place. It became difficult to live there. If you're working at In-N-Out, how many roommates do you have? 10? So it really has a negative impact when you start bringing in people from other cities that made more money. Oh, you're okay. We'll pay you what you were making in Silicon Valley when you moved to Vegas. That's completely impractical, and I don't see that happening. But they can still pay you a geo bump of some sort. Oh, thanks for moving. We'll pay you, 20% above the going salary, which I think would be necessary because of the weak education track record of Southern Nevada. The Clark County School District does not rank well. It ranks great on size. It's the 5th largest school district in the country. I think that's still true. Last time I looked, it's, somewhere around top 5. It's been top 5 the last time they had like big numbers, like a big survey of total enrollment and all that. And I think the last time I looked, it's pretty much still there. And then it's the largest employer in Southern Nevada. So it's big, but it's not necessarily doing good. So I've spoken to people who have relocated here, and the first thing they do is get away from public school and they enroll their children in a private school, and then they're fine. Oh no, the schools here are fine. I just pay for private school. Okay. So our talent pool is not deep, but it could be. It could be if we actually focused on that. So we want to be the next Silicon Valley, but we don't want to actually make that possible. We just want to import talent and screw everybody else over. But the fun economy is still trademarked by the UNLV Office of Economic Development in February of 2025. So the fun economy is still important, but I don't know how they figure people are going to stick around if they get priced out. And this happened during the pandemic, ironically, when rents went up between 25 and 40%, and there was a big egress because people said, well, I can't live here if I'm not getting paid. And because this is such a tourism-driven economy for people in the hospitality and tourism industry, the fun economy just wasn't working. So there was a lot of people that departed. And then as tourism began to return, as things began to open up again, as they say, it was very difficult to hire. And so there were thousands of open jobs because people just weren't here anymore. I think there's going to be a supposition that casinos are already moving to reducing or removing completely dealers and table games. So if you go to, is it the California off of Fremont, but in downtown Vegas, I think they've completely removed all the table games. So it's all slots and automation. So there's no more human dealers. That Casino Royale I just mentioned also has no table games, so only slots, only automation. So I don't know if the thinking is that, we'll just move away from having humans. I think there's still a robot bartender somewhere. I think it's in a mall or something. Robot bartender, Vegas. The Tipsy Robot. tipsyrobot.com if you're curious. It's in the Cosmopolitan. Yeah, it's got 2 big giant robot arms that pull bottles or do whatever they're doing. Ironically, I've never been there, and I've been meaning to go. I will go. So in the Miracle Mile shops? Oh, it's in the Miracle Mile shops at Planet Hollywood. Why does this say? Okay. Tipsy Robot at Planet Hollywood, not the Cosmopolitan. I was looking at the map. The marker looks like it was on the Cosmopolitan. So Miracle Mile shops. Yeah, go to Planet Hollywood. So yeah, I should check that out one of these days. I should just go. But yeah, that could be the future. And if you've ever hung out in a bar, you know that the robotic bartender is absolutely the way to go. Kind of like Johnny Cab, right? That will never go wrong. And I'm not serious. Anyway, this is the very, very long way of getting to my point, which is that Vegas has been touting itself as the next Silicon Valley, like I said, the global innovation hub that rivals the San Francisco Bay Area, blah, blah, blah. Now, we have our nonprofit here. I'm the managing director of the Innovate for Vegas Foundation. We're in our 4th year since we rebooted and all that stuff. There's a whole podcast about that every week. Talk about all this stuff. Now, the city of Las Vegas has offered essentially zero support. They just don't know what to do with anything. Like, hey, yeah, we'd like to encourage young people to participate in hackathons, a smart city, etc. Yeah, we don't know what to do. Why don't you do what you're doing, and then when you have something cool, you can show it to us and we'll think about it. So you have to be Ben Horowitz or Mark Andreessen, especially Mark Andreessen. Ben Horowitz, they're like, oh, okay, thanks for the Cybertrucks. He and his wife and their foundation donated, I think it's a dozen or 10, something, Tesla Cybertrucks to the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. And they've just been posting in the news now that they are on the roads. They have wrapped them with the logos, LVMPD accoutrement for the lights and the whatever else they got going, extra battery packs, everything. And they've trained the officers, and I believe they are now hitting the road. So isn't that exciting? So that's Ben Horowitz for you. When Mark Andreessen was going to, I guess there was an announcement that he was buying a home here, they were literally like salivating. Oh my God, did you hear that Mark Andreessen's moving here? And I was like, yeah, I worked at Netscape. I don't care for Mark Andreessen. A lot of people there didn't, actually. And he decided to not move here. He decided to pursue his own far-right agenda in California. So good for him and good for us, but Ben Horowitz is still here. So we got the Cybertrucks and all that. We're going to be the next Silicon Valley. Everybody move your companies here so you can extract more value from this place and make sure you get people priced out of their current lifestyle, because we can't pay bartenders what we're paying our high-priced talent. Anyway, I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening well, however it turns out. And I did an entire podcast of the Cafe Genius Impresarios audio program just the other day, a week ago, talking about the extraction economy. It was on Nevada Day, 31 October. So we have an extraction economy. We started in mining. So we don't do well at cultivation of innovation culture. So I have some concerns about that. The Global Innovation Hub thing. I was speaking to someone I know at the city of Las Vegas last week. And I said, yeah, I was thinking of putting together a smarter city hackathon. And I don't know if the city would want to participate. Oh, we don't really, I don't know, hemming and hawing. I said, never mind. I said, I was thinking the Global Innovation Hub thing, this would be kind of low-hanging fruit. But the Global Innovation Hub thing has kind of been pushed back on the back burner a little bit because of the Badlands settlement. So Badlands is like a housing development. It's a region of the city, in the city of Las Vegas, within the city limits. And there was hundreds of millions of dollars of lawsuits that the city settled. So they had to pay out. The city had to pay out. So they've been running a little bit thin on the funding of things. So they said, we're probably not going to be focused on that so much, which is obviously a mixed bag because I don't think they were doing anything coherent before, but now if they're going to do nothing, that's also not really healthy in their economic diversification efforts. So they may be depending more on, get it? They may be depending more on diversification across the county, Clark County, which means they will hope for, and Henderson and North Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, both of these regions have been catching a little bit more of the manufacturing, the warehousing, the phone support, like tech support staffing, call center. North Las Vegas has a little bit more manufacturing recently. So maybe they figured, we can just lay low. We'll trade on the name because everybody thinks we are, no matter where they are in Southern Nevada, they think they're in Las Vegas. So we can just kind of ride that wave. There was some talk about turning Clark County into Las Vegas. I'm sorry, Las Vegas County or Vegas County to cut down on the confusion. But most of the time when you're in Las Vegas, you're actually in unincorporated Clark County, or maybe you're in North Las Vegas. So if you're in Las Vegas, then you're in Las Vegas. But if you are at the Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign, you are not in Las Vegas. You are in unincorporated Clark County. If you're at the airport, not in Las Vegas. If you're on the Strip, not in Las Vegas. If you're in Henderson, obviously not in Las Vegas. But everybody sort of treats it like Vegas. Yeah, Vegas. But yeah, it doesn't look like we're going to be a global innovation hub anytime soon, which I think is interesting. But that doesn't slow down my own efforts, and our Innovate for Vegas Foundation continues. So everything's fine. But I find it humorous that the city itself didn't have any idea what it was doing, and so it won't be able to continue not having any idea what it's doing for the near term. Probably good. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I think one of the last things because I don't really have much else to talk about today, But I will say, because I was really annoyed by this yesterday, Canva. Oh, I do have two more things. So Canva's, I think they're worth $42 billion, if I recall correctly. They recently acquired some other online tools. I think it's called Affinity and Canva. Is that what it is? The all-new Affinity available on Canva, apparently. Do I have access to this? Yeah, I mean, I actually pay for Canva. I pay for a one-person. It used to be a small business or something, so I had possibility of having 4 collaborators. But now I only have me because they changed their pricing and I didn't want to pay like 2 or 3 times. So I think it's $12 a month. So I use it every day for creating cover art and for other graphic things. And I mostly was taking advantage of their clip art collection. So I could pull images of microphones or Vegas artwork or related, so I try to make my cover art interesting. Of course, that's the name of the game in the modern era. But yeah, it's become a little bit more, or it's becoming less good. And why do I say that? Well, they keep announcing things. And so recently I guess this Affinity thing was in March, but they've now integrated in or done it. So every couple of months, they move things around in the interface. So that to me is, Affinity looks very pretty. I couldn't even tell you if I have access to it. Do I? Let me see what the apps are. So they move stuff around. So every once in a while, I'll log in on Monday to do some cover art, or Tuesday or something. So it's the beginning of the week and I'm like, where's my, they've completely changed. There's a home view and it has your like recent projects. They completely changed that. I had a default sort of starting point. I could select from a collection of different starting points, so basically document sizes and whatnot. So I had the cover art, 1400 by 1400 was my sort of starting point default. That one's gone. So now I have to go to custom size and select it differently, separately. No real reason for that. They reorder things on the little command bar on the left here. What else have they done? But here's the big one. Here's the ginormous problem. So Canva, $42 billion company. The world knows how to do computing now, unless you're Amazon. It's managing DNS record updates on DynamoDB services. But when I'm using Canva, depending on when during the day, the chances go up, but it's pretty common. My Canva connection will just simply go down. So I'll be in the middle of doing something and then I say, of course. And it'll say, you are offline. And it'll be a while, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And then, okay, everything's back to normal. So I'll just, and it's not that I'm offline. My computer is fine. My network connection is fine. It's that their services are no longer treating me. They're no longer connected to me, or they no longer register that I am online. And so I must wait to continue doing whatever I'm doing. So if I'm like, okay, I'm done with my audio program. I've recorded the episode. I've produced the MP3 final output. I've uploaded it. Now I'm just going to whip up some cover art. I have something in mind. I have some of the pieces already built. I just need to assemble it. And, I got to wait. Now, life is short, but it's not that short. So I'm not like totally freaking out, but it is annoying that you're suddenly offline because they say so. So I'm a little bit troubled by that. And every once in a while I'll think, what am I getting for my $12 a month? But again, I use it at least once a day. So that's at least 30 occurrences per month. And I think it's $12 a month. So that's less than $1 a day, right? It's less than 50 cents per day. It's like 40 cents a day, maybe something like that. So it's like, I can't really complain too much. I can't really complain about being offline. But for as popular and as amazing and the accolades they receive and whatnot, you would think that this thing is like rock solid and always works, but it does some weird stuff every once in a while. But again, so being offline and the fact that they just like to change stuff around. Oh, okay. It's only for Mac and Windows. So I'll have to get a Windows. You can use Wine. Windows is not an emulator. I'm sorry, Wine is not an emulator. Or I think there's some other. There are a few ways to run Windows apps on a Linux machine, so I'll have to give that a try at some point. Anyway, so yeah, Affinity. I guess they've been tweaking everything with this big launch and the rollout and the integration. So offline, user interface changing around frequently. I don't know how people actually put up with that. Like if I was a designer doing this for money, like I use this as a tool for other stuff, right? Oh, I need an image for a link. I'm not invoicing someone. I'm not depending on this. So if it takes me 10 more minutes, or if I have to hunt around for the thing, like, oh, why did my tool palette change around? Like I curse at them, I shake my fist a little bit, and then I get on with my day. But if I was doing this for money, if I was using these tools and depending on them, I don't know how I would be apoplectic. It's like when I don't know if you've read Kitchen Confidential, and what's his name, Anthony Bourdain. I know his name. I've checked that book out of the library. I do the audiobook because he reads it. Highly recommend it. I like when the authors read their own books because hopefully they bring something to the reading. So very interesting. I think it's just interesting the way he reads it, and they do some editing, or because he recorded it over several sessions, some parts sound different, some parts are a little bit more upbeat, some parts are a little bit more like getting tired of this. So I just think the whole thing is interesting, obviously retrospectively. And speaking of, by the way, you can also get Tony Hsieh's book, Delivering Happiness. And he also reads it. And also when you look back at some of the chaos, and unfortunately, both of these authors are no longer with us. There's the whole, I just went offline for Canva. So the next time you're connected to Wi-Fi, enable your presentations for offline. Yeah, okay, I'm offline for some reason. No good reason why, but there you go. But he says your mise en place is your little work table with all your squeeze bottles and your everything that you use to conduct your business as a chef, as a line cook, as a whatever you're doing. He said, don't touch my knife, don't touch my mise, or whatever it is. See, people freak out about that. You keep everything where you want it and all that stuff. So to me, if you do this for a living, it's like if you're an editor, if you're a coder, or if you're even a writer, if your editor settings kept changing, you'd be like, what is going on? This is causing me trouble. So anyway, what was the other one I was going to do? Canva and Spotify. Okay. This one I don't get. Spotify for creators, it's free. So I'm not even paying a monthly anything. So it's free. Okay, fine. But Spotify for creators, first of all, they've changed the name a couple of times, so that's been a little bit annoying. They will list so you upload through their portal, Spotify for creators. It's a little bit annoying. It's a little bit problematic. You cannot edit links to, like, if you post your show on Amazon. So Amazon will read the feed from Spotify, the RSS feed, and it will update. And so I link to the Amazon podcast channel URL for each of my programs, but you cannot edit it. Once you paste it in there, you have to contact tech support and say, can you change this for me? That is an indication of some sort of failure somewhere. But so you do get a public URL for Spotify for creators. So it's kind of a generic, here's a list of episodes. You can play them on the site, and then it has links to all of your other places, not all, but a few. I think they probably support like 8, maybe. Amazon, Apple, iHeartRadio, Cast FM, I think. Anyway, so I add the YouTube channel, and so you can, but that's not treated as a RSS source. Okay, fine. Now, the other day I was finding that, it doesn't want to actually display the current episode. So it would show it briefly, and then it would remove it, some sort of JavaScript glitch maybe, and then it would just display up to last week. So you can scroll through all of the episodes except for the one today that I just published, right? So, okay, because I'm trying to decide, do I want to publish a link to Spotify? No. Spotify for creators? Well, at least it gives you links to other places. No, that's becoming less reliable. So ultimately I need to move, and I've talked about this many times, I need to move to the primary point of publication, or Posse, if you like, publish on your own site, syndicate elsewhere. So if you publish anything, blogs, photos, audio programs, video content, you should always maintain your own copy of it, obviously. You should have the originals and all that. If you're going to push your stuff to YouTube, great. Does that mean that YouTube should be the one and only place anyone will ever know how to find you? I hope not, because who knows what's going to happen with YouTube. I just saw the other day somebody's Vimeo account. Oh, was it Vimeo? It might have been Scared Ketchup. He does some computer generated AI videos of political nature. It's pretty funny actually. But yeah, Scared Ketchup just sent out a thing that his do I have it? I don't have it running. If I had my email client open, I would read the email. It was something like, "Hey, I tried to log into Vimeo and all of my got hacked and all my stuff is gone." So that's got to suck. But if you depend entirely, because you'd hear during the adpocalypse, or if anybody gets their account canceled, like removed from YouTube, all of their subscribers only know how to find them on YouTube. So anybody that is a fan or likes what you're producing or your content that you're creating, whether they follow your blogs or your photography or your podcasting or whatever it is, they only know to look for you on that one place. And so if you disappear, you are gone to them, right? No object persistence in this world. So I just think that's vastly problematic. So anybody that finds this audio program, for example, in the least bit interesting, you should know that you can listen to it on YouTube and Apple Podcasts and all that, but also know that if those ever go away, that you should be able to find me on danhugo.com, which is where I'm, it's sort of the home base for this. And the reason it doesn't have its own website is because Coffee Solo was intended to be sort of a little, like a vanity rant. And it was tied into the Ko-fi.com website, which I've had forever. Which I don't really use so much, but Ko-fi.com/DanHugo, you can go there if you want. And the posts section has all these audio programs. So I figured, I'll just post something there since I have it, keep it interesting. But I wanted to make them available, and Ko-fi does not make an RSS feed available, for example. So to me, that's dumb. So danhugo.com, you will find Buy Me an Update, which I publish on buymeacoffee.com/danhugo/posts. There again, they don't have an RSS feed, and I figured, I've had that profile page for 5 years now. So I've had both of these, Ko-fi and Buy Me a Coffee, for 4 or 5 years. I think we'll call it 5. So I'm like, I should create some stuff there. I'll keep it brief. So Buy Me an Update is 5 minutes or less. Ko-fi.com is published whenever, so it's not on a schedule. I don't have to. It's just whatever, right? Obviously, this has been a kind of a rambling rant of some sort. So, okay, that's fine. But I want to make sure that people, if they are actually interested in this stuff, they should be able to find me regardless of whether Ko-fi.com or Buy Me a Coffee shuts down. So all of these all these episodes always point back to a bunch of links on, where you can find me. And for Coffee Solo, I want to make sure that danhugo.com, and I'll create a danhugo.com/coffee solo section. My website game is so far behind where it should be. It's ridiculous, but it's a time and production by street. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I never really go back and check to see if you can hear the road noise, but my window is, I'm going to guess, let's call it between 50 and 100 yards, probably 50 yards. 50 yards straight line to the, a little bit farther, but anyway, so it's pretty close. So every once in a while you'll hear some road noise. You got to be able to hear that. I think that actually made the VU meter bump up a little bit. Anyway, okay, so Spotify has to be reduced to tier 2 for publication. You should always be able to find my stuff at the websites for each of my productions. Canva is just annoying. I got to think about how I want to deal with that. I just added a little note on Spotify. So that's that. So yeah, you can find this audio program is published first on Ko-fi.com, and then a little while later it shows up in all the other places. By a little while, I mean usually like an hour. I just delay it, so it's technically still available first. I used to say available exclusively on Ko-fi.com, but no RSS feed. There you go. All right, so I'm going to call it for now. My clock says 53 minutes. That seems a little bit long. I'm sure with silence truncation, it'll be 50 or maybe even 40, 48, 49 minutes. Thanks for listening as always. And don't forget to check out all my various other audio programs. If you go to the profile page linking everything, buymeacoffee.com/DanHugo. It has a freeform profile with all the links, all the stuff. You don't have to buy any coffee at either Ko-fi.com or buymeacoffee.com. You can just visit and click on links and have at it. That's it. That's all I got. Take care.